Hello, I'm John Hind, director and founder of Compass Resolution and author of the Divorce Manual. And today I'm talking to Nicola Withycombe, director and founder of KidComeFirst. Hello, Nicola, and thanks for giving up your time today.
Hi, John. Nice to see you again. Thanks for inviting me in here.
You're very welcome. So my aim today, Nicola, is to explore with you six questions, actually, I've got in mind about your business and the services offered. I'll be beginning with the first question, which is, what is KidComeFirst, and what do you offer parents who come to KidComeFirst?
I guess, John, the easiest sort of way to put that in a nutshell is to say that KidComeFirst is a unique child-focused forum that has been supporting separated parents through the various stages of their separation or divorce since 2015, when we held our first workshops. And one of the main objectives that we've always had is to raise awareness of the desperate need, right back when we first started, for early intervention, advice and support for separating parents, because it is a traumatic experience for many parents. And we've realized and recognized that far too many parents end up in an adversarial process because they're not getting that early advice and support. And so we think that's really crucial to how the majority of parents actually approach and manage that family transition that they're going through. And of course, children need to be well supported through those transitions. So what we deliver at KidComeFirst is psychoeducation, I suppose, and co-parenting training and guidance in very bespoke workshops in sort of solo and joint capacities. And all of our workshops focus on the processes of separation, but also they're tailored to highlight the experiences of children, whether they are from infants right through to teenagers. So children of all ages, how do they experience their parents' separation? What are the things that parents can watch out for? What are the responses and behaviors they need to know about so that they can best support their children? And
I can see how valuable, how important it is for parents to have this kind of information that you're talking about, to be informed, to build up their understanding and so on. I'm interested actually in specifically how you might deliver that, how you work with them, how you offer that, how does it work?
So parents get in touch, and in most cases I actually book in solo workshops. In probably at least 80% of parents that I work with initially come into a solo workshop so that they can focus on their own solo separated parenting, because I think, of course, that's what happens when you become a separated parent. You really need to hone in and focus on your own solo parenting, and to a certain extent, we can't control what the other parent is doing. So we have to start there before we can develop any further processes. So I think that foundation is really important in the first instance. And I generally tend to only work with parents in joint bespoke workshops when they approach me in a way that says, look, we're separating, but we've discussed this and we want to take the best amicable approach that we possibly can. And we think we're already in a place where we're equipped to do that. I will then, I will welcome them into a joint workshop, because I think that there's already a mindset there that is pretty clear on what they want.
That's interesting. Yeah.
So I don't want people to parents to come in and sabotage anything right from the onset. So for the majority of parents, I want to give that foundation training. But all parents get that, whether they come in, into a solo or a joint workshop.
Because thinking actually from my mediator's perspective, I can see how important it is if and when clients come in to work in mediation, how important it is to be, so certainly many parents I can think of anyway, to be better informed in so many ways, in the knowledge about the children, child development, and knowledge about communication and so on. And it's interesting to hear that you say that you generally work with them together where there is this good intent, this intent and willingness and commitment, and you use the word amicability or amicable. So how does it work? How would you describe it working or distinguishing it from the mediation kind of process?
I think because it's so underpinned by training and various principles that we're really keen to impart. I mean, at the heart of our work is very much focusing on the fundamental needs and rights of children.
Right.
Needs in a holistic way, which don't change whether you're, a separated parent or not, but also rights in the sense of the law, so that there's a clear understanding of that process as well. And that's all about maintaining these sort of healthy relationships with both parents. Unless, of course, there are clear and proven safeguarding risks where we would not promote that. But also we want to, in giving that foundation training, we want parents to really understand and accept parental responsibility, which of course, all parents are responsible for their children, but within the context of separation, what we say is each parent needs to be accountable for not just facilitating practical care arrangements for their children, but also encouraging actively that relationship and developing the contact for each parent. And the reason why I say developing is because you may have an infant when you separate, and clearly the needs of children at different ages, they vary in accordance to what children need. So if you have a very young child when you separate, it might be that you need to develop that process, and by the time they're school-going age, of course, there needs to be a very different kind of approach to your co-parenting. And certainly by the time your child is sort of the age of 7, we would hope that most parents have grasped the sort of principles of shared care in that sense. But I also do think that it's important parents recognise that they have equal status in the eyes of their children, irrespective of the formula that they use and the time that their children spend with them.
And exploring what that means in terms of the law, in terms of what it might mean to each of them, because I often get parents who are very focused on equality, meaning the quantity of time they have with each child, as opposed to the quality, for example. So I imagine one of the kind of challenges you have is, or one of the things that often needs exploring, is the meaning different parents give to different aspects of the law, such as equal parenting. What does it mean?
The interpretation is sometimes not very clear for parents about those sort of aspects, and I think for many there is a lot of stress and anxiety around separation that sometimes causes this sort of territorial overprotective sort of especially with younger children, where they genuinely feel that they should be considered a primary carer, and that the other parent perhaps who has maybe not been quite so hands-on, shall we say, that they deserve a lesser role in the lives of their children. All of these things need to be fully explored and discussed and explained in terms of what children need in that sort of equal status. You asked about the sort of mediation, and many parents do ask, is KidComeFirst the same as family mediation? I think, yes, of course, there are definite similarities, and my intention was always for it to flow or lead in some way, or for there to be a tie-in with mediation. So it is similar, but it's much more underpinned by the training and advice we offer parents that many family mediators in the traditional way aren't that's not within their framework. So we also discuss with parents a very well-researched range of other topics which family mediation would never go into. But the goal is very much the same: to encourage parents to reach their own valuable agreements about things like childcare schedules and other co-parenting matters, such as essential parenting plans.
And as you're talking, I can see a great kind of a benefit as a mediator, especially where I might be working with two parents who where the communication has really broken down and they are struggling with that. And my focus is very much on the relational communication aspects. But what a huge benefit it would have, I'm thinking here, of having first been in a workshop or a program with you, having prepared and arm themselves with information, which is all very, what do the kids need from us? Shifting their focus into what the children need from each of us and both of us working together. Because often it takes a paradigm shift of perspective for some of the parents to be feel able and more capable of working together. And so this kind of focus that you would be the driving focus of information education around the needs of the child and focusing parents on that before I get to work with the parents in constructing, building plans, arrangements, and communication, supporting each other's parents around the work you've done with them. I can definitely see how that integrates really well. And you may also have done some work together with them, which is, again, can only benefit the work that a mediator does with them as well. I can definitely see that working.
I think a lot of that, John, is about shifting away from the emotional context and putting it into that practical level. The practical level of, yes, we're going into the mediation room and we're ready in some way, shape, or form to start working together. To take it away from any levels of personal conflict or any misinformation, let's say, about their accountability. Again, it's sort of getting those principles, driving those principles home and saying, okay, if you struggle to communicate before, well, here are all the reasons why you really need to focus on that and improve that, and let's get things onto a much more practical business-like footing that you need in developing the business of your children, which is the only concern and business that you have together. So I think Kids Come First, we wrote the course, if you like, if you call it a course. I don't necessarily think of it as a course, but yes, a psychoeducation program. But it complements the mediation process and works alongside all dispute resolution, I think, because it is setting that platform. And I think it's essentially, in that way, it is the first sensible step for most parents. Mediation should also be a first port of call, and rather than any kind of box ticking exercise to another agenda, shall we say. But it's leading into that process, and it's reinforcing all of that, which is a force for good. So
whether they come through your door first or my door first, they actually they would benefit from going into both rooms.
Interchangeable, I think it's just completely interchangeable. Yeah. Whichever way round, I think it's so important, and was always vitally important for me to get mediators in particular to see the benefit of intermeshing those two things. And particularly financial mediation, because of course I am not here to discuss finances, but those finances rear their heads within the context of some of my work too. And what I'm saying is that within sorting out financial settlements, there are many times when parents sometimes lose perspective on what matters, and that's their children, who are their greatest, most valuable asset. And so giving them that child focus, I think, also helps them figure out their financial settlements with mediation, because they can grasp the reality of everyone's future needs. And ultimately, the key message is that children need two equitable homes where they belong, and two parents who can continue to nurture them in the same way and share their care. So it's creating fairness, a principle of fairness as well, I think, and children seeing that their parents can treat each other fairly.
So important, so important. And I do like, going back to a word you used, the business of separation, divorce. I think I often see part of my role as helping couples focus less on the story of separation, the backstory, what everything that's gone on, and more on the business of separation, which of course primarily they got children. Is a very child-focused process. So I'm with you all the way there, Nicola. What I want to do in a minute, I'm just going to bring this video to an end, and we're going to focus, if you don't mind, on another 2 or 3 questions I've got on a separate video, just so that we can give our kind of viewers a chance to reflect on what we've talked about, perhaps, and focus then on the next kind of series of questions. Because the next question I'm going to ask you really is about how your service interrelates with the if parents are in court. And so we'll come back to that in a moment, if that's okay. So thanks very much, viewers, for watching so far. We'll be back with you in, well, just a moment. Stay with us, please. Thanks very much.